We're going to get to that in just a minute, but we got to start with the tribal chief, the original Roman Reigns is back, helping Cody Rhodes, maybe reluctantly, maybe not, retain the undisputed WWE Championship. Jared, it's been speculated online all week long. He's coming back. He's coming back. He's coming back. Well, we know that there's a chance that he wouldn't, but he did. What a moment it was, helping Cody. Were you shocked by that?
Dude, I mean, I really thought that, like, I really felt pretty confident that he would come back. I'd heard rumors that he would be there on SmackDown, and I was like, I think they'll save it for the pay-per-view. So that didn't surprise me, but I am kind of surprised that they let him help Cody win, just for the simple fact, not anything to do with their past or anything like that. But a lot of people did not want Cody to be made to look weak, and Roman helped him win. I mean, that's just exactly what you just said. That's what people are going to be talking about. So for those people out there, it didn't bother me. That's just what a lot of the internet was saying. But again, there's a bunch of crybabies everywhere, so that's just what the internet does.
Well, yes, we famously talk about the internet wrestling community and how they, I mean, obviously they have a mind of their own. They can have an opinion of their own, but they can never be satisfied. I think that's my point. Yes. We're all a bunch of Cody crybabies at the end of the day. Andy, Roman helping Cody. Thoughts?
I don't know. I think it's not necessarily him helping Cody as much as he wasn't about to let Solo do what he didn't do.
Sure.
I think that's the kind of the way I look at it, as like he looked at Cody and was like, yeah, I did that. Not necessarily for you though. Like I did this for me and me alone. And so I like that aspect of it, because we've kind of been talking for the last couple of weeks of, like, you know, before Money in the Bank, we were saying when Roman shows up, we're going to be asking the question, like, which side is he really on? Which side is he really on? Then the Solo promos heading into Money in the Bank, and even this show, it kind of was like, okay, when Roman comes back, he has to be going after Solo, because Solo is calling him weak and everything else. So, you know, that part to me is not as shocking. I was shocked, honestly, at how strong they made Solo look for the most part throughout this match, because he took a bunch of big moves and kicked out of a lot of them. Like, broken up.
He took an RKO, a stunner. Sorry. It was
Swanton.
It was a power slam, a Swanton, and then the crossroads.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, I'm shocked too. But I thought the match itself, aside from Roman, I thought the match itself was really, really good.
Yeah.
I thought Solo had an impressive showing. The usual cast of characters that we thought would show up. We didn't get an Uso, which was okay, I guess. Really would have liked to have seen those guys, but Randy and Kevin were cool because they've been off TV for several weeks now. And then the usual cast of characters in the Bloodline. The biggest concern, a great match. We'll get to the intro in a minute, but the biggest concern coming out, Andy, is that Jacob Fatu injury. He got helped by medical. It looked bad when he did it. He did not look happy when it happened. Aaron is asking in the comments, how injured is Jacob Fatu? Andy, I hope it's not bad.
It didn't look good. I mean, it looked like when he hit the splash to the table, it looked like his knee hit. I couldn't tell if it hit like the corner of it or where it hit exactly on his knee.
Yep.
But he was grabbing his shin area too. So you can always tell when a wrestler, or like when an athlete gets hurt, because especially in a big moment, because they always fly mad. Like they're always very mad that they got hurt in that moment. And he was livid. Like he was throwing chairs, everything else. He tried to stand on it at one point and like just completely collapsed. So I'm hoping it's nothing too serious, because I think out of all the members of the new Bloodline, I've been preaching this for the last couple of weeks, out of all the members of the new Bloodline, he has the biggest upside and the most momentum right now.
Sure.
It seems like. And so I'm hoping that doesn't stop because of this injury.
Hopefully not. There's a lot of different ways they could go with it. Let's fantasy book for a minute. Bryce wants to know. Again, appreciate you guys commenting live. If you're watching on YouTube, if you haven't subscribed already, please make sure that you do so. Who's everybody got for Roman's first match back? Is it Solo, another Bloodline member, a tag match? Jared, I'm going to throw to you first, man. What do you think on this one?
I think that it'll be a member of the Bloodline that he goes at first, but I don't think it'll be Solo. I think they'll do the classic thing and make him work his way through. I think the plan was going to be that he started with what are they called, the Gorillas of Destiny or whatever,
Yep.
and worked his way through those two guys, then made it to Jacob, then made it to Solo. But I was actually watching the last half of the show with my wife, which I've never actually watched that much wrestling with her in the past. So I got to hear all of her concerns and comments and all that stuff. And so I was talking with her, and as soon as I saw that, man, I was like, he's hurt. She's like, you mean for real? And I was like, yeah, like he has messed his knee up. And so we kind of watched him every little shot, and I was like, oh, yeah, he's definitely hurt. So, but I think that probably would have been the plan.
Yeah, Aaron even commented saying that Jacob getting injured made it a little wonky. That maybe that Jacob had more. It's very possible that Jacob had more that he was supposed to do in that, and they just had to go with it and improv. Which, I mean, when wrestlers get hurt, that's what you have to do. You know, that's exactly what I told my wife, man. That was the other part. It was whenever that Solo went up to the top rope, and I was like, that was Jacob's spot. He was supposed to have done the splash, not Solo, and then Solo was going to cover Cody after that. That's just my opinion. And you could very well be right, because that's a very Jacob thing to do. Because he's the high flying guy. Andy, I am of the mindset, if we're fantasy booking this, again back to Bryce's comment, if we're fantasy booking this, I don't have Solo versus Roman one-on-one until WrestleMania. I think we can make it all the way, if not to the Rumble, Roman and Solo at Rumble, and then you get Rock Roman at WrestleMania, if that's sort of the direction that you go. All that to say, I don't think Roman wrestles until War Games. I think that's the first match.
Do we have another Saudi show between now and then?
Probably beginning of November.
I would say we probably have a tag match. Roman and Jay versus the Grills of Destiny would be really interesting, I think. To do those two at the Saudi show, and then, like you said, War Games match, and then the Rumble do Roman Solo, and then go into WrestleMania with Roman Rock. But I don't see Roman Solo happening. But I mean, potentially maybe at the Saudi show and have like a schmoz finish or something like that, and then set up something down the line. But I honestly don't think they'll do it until at the earliest the Rumble.
Yep. I agree. Depends on what they do with Rock. Because there's still a possibility. At the end of the day, let's remember, Roman Reigns returned. We had a lot of schmoz stuff. Cody Rhodes is still the undisputed WWE champion.
Yeah.
So he's clearly not done with the bloodline in this whole situation. So either we're heading to Rock Roman at WrestleMania, or we're heading to Cody Rock at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
So that's why I think Roman Solo could drag all the way out there.
Yeah.
Because who else do you put Roman against if Rock is already taken?
At WrestleMania?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you could absolutely do Roman Solo at WrestleMania, or do another big bloodline match where you do Roman and the Usos versus Solo and the Grills of Destiny or anything like that. But to me, that still wouldn't make as much sense as doing Roman Solo. Honestly, I think the plan is, because we don't know how much longer and healthier The Rock is going to be when it comes to wrestling. So I think they want to do Roman Rock as soon as possible, rather than wait another year and a half or however long. So I could see them doing Rock Cody at the Rumble, doing Roman Solo at the Rumble, and then doing Roman Rock at WrestleMania, doing Cody Randy probably at WrestleMania.
I like that. I can get behind that. There's, again, as I started this whole conversation, Jared, there's a lot of different ways that you can go with this. Obviously, we're all sort of penciling in OG Bloodline versus new Bloodline in War Games and Survivor Series. That got confirmed this week that War Games is coming back. Bryce commented and said he can see something happen for Bad Blood. Absolutely could do that. I don't know. A lot of different ways we could go. But Jared, at the end of the day, Cody is still your champion. Do you keep him in a Bloodline feud, or do you sort of separate them again till we get back to WrestleMania?
I mean, I guess it kind of depends on. I want to see the Bloodline like it used to be for War Games, which would be like, Roman, the Usos, and then you have Sami Zayn in there. I think that would be awesome. So if you go that direction, I think that definitely you would have Cody doing something else. But the problem is going to be if Cody's not doing something with Rock, whatever Cody does is not going to be nearly as big as whatever they're doing with Roman and the Bloodline. So how do you keep him relevant as your main guy?
And I think that's something. I think that's a situation where Cody's main event is one night, Rock Roman is night number 2, where you have Cody, like Andy said, Cody Randy, maybe Cody CM Punk, maybe
people would care about CM Punk. I don't think him and Randy would necessarily light the world on fire for what people want to see at Mania.
Here's something else to consider. And Aaron gave us this comment here. Aaron loading up our comments. Again, we're taking your comments and questions live. Thank you, buddy. Cody still doesn't trust Roman. Roman still doesn't trust Cody. That match has got to happen again at some point too, right? Mm-hmm. Like, when do we get that? Is that the Saudi match? And the Bloodline comes in and interferes and just, it's a big small.
I mean, that's a really big possibility. And I love like the little details of when Cody hit that finisher, he made sure Solo's leg was out of the way so he could make eye contact with Roman to make sure like Roman wasn't coming back down to the ring to screw him over or anything like that. Like that moment told us a lot that right now the enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Yes. And
that's kind of the story that they're telling, but you have to run back Roman Cody one more time. I mean, I think they could do it at the next Saudi show. I think they could push it back till SummerSlam next year.
Yeah,
like we do Roman and Rock, we do Cody, whoever, and then SummerSlam next year is when the big main event of.
Yeah, I think to your point though about the health of Rock, I would call the health of Roman into question as well.
Yeah,
because we don't know what his status is with his leukemia and all that kind of stuff. So I think we have to think about that and how much. Yes, he's back, but are we getting part-time Roman back? Are we getting semi-full-time Roman? Like,
yeah,
there's still going to be some stuff there that he's not going to be there all the time.
Right.
I want to throw this comment up real quick. Shout out in the chat, including Squared Circle Radio and everybody there. Keep up the good work. Appreciate it. Shout out from the South Bronx, brother BKL. We appreciate it. Thank you so much for checking us out. We appreciate it so much. And again, if you're a new listener, you're a new subscriber, thank you for coming to the show. Check out all of our past episodes. They're available on our YouTube channel, available in our podcast archives. That's everywhere you find your podcast. And of course, on the YouTube channel, hit the like button and subscribe. I would appreciate it. Andy would appreciate it. Jared would appreciate it. It's very, very appreciated on this channel, if you can't tell it already. Before we move on, I know we're spending a lot of time on Cody and Roman. And so this was obviously, it was the main event. It was the big story of the night. Jared, I don't know what made me happier tonight. Seeing Cody Rhodes retain the championship or seeing Arn Anderson back with Cody Rhodes on WWE television. How freaking cool was that?
Oh man, I popped. I was like, it's Arn. It's Arn. It's Arn Anderson.
So good.
But Tessa had no clue who he was. But one thing I'm going to bring up, we're talking
That's
about.
What happened in our house too. Everybody was like, "Who's this guy? Who's this guy? Who's this guy?" Yes. And we're all like, "It's Arn Anderson." Go ahead.
So my other question is what about Pharaoh? For some reason, they were acting like this was Pharaoh's last trip to the ring or something, and they never told why. I mean, he looked in pretty good shape to me. And, of course, that's all Tessa was worried about was the dog. So,
listen, there were females in our house that all they were worried about was the dog as well, so it's fine. No, Cody put on Twitter, this is Pharaoh's last road trip. Mm-hmm. Like, he's going to stay home. He's not going to bring him on the road anymore. He's 13 years old, and he said it's getting hard on him. So this is his last trip. So yeah, this was Pharaoh's swan song.
It was.
But it was super cool that he at least brought him close to the ring.
Don't bring him out with the pyro.
Don't bring him out with the pyro. Let's.
I was like, oh God, oh no.
I know, right? This is interesting. Bryce throws this comment at us as we're fantasy booking this. They could swerve us all. Cody could be on Roman's team for War Games if they kept Cody involved with the Bloodline story. Andy, we sort of brought that up during the show.
Yep.
Is if you do this 5-on-5 War Games with the possibility of either having The Rock on Solo's team or Hikuleo, the other brother, comes in, debuts. You have the 5 current Bloodline. You have Roman, the Usos, Sami Zayn, of course, and Cody's the 5th. Very interesting way to go about that if you were to go that route.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a very fascinating way to go because it's not out of place.
Yes.
Like, it's not just a random thing just to throw Cody in there. Like, that's the good thing about interweaving all these stories together is that you can have moments like that where it goes in. And also it could play into, like, you know, we've speculated this for a while. Kevin Owens turning heel at some point and being like, both Sammy and Cody went back to Roman or went to Roman after all that he's done.
Yep.
And so that could build to that story that's happening at the same time. So I think it makes a lot of sense. I think that adds a whole lot to it. Personally, I think there is almost a 0% chance that The Rock is going to wrestle in War Games unless he's the 5th entrant or the last entrant coming in and just pinning somebody and leaving, because he ain't doing that no more. I don't think so. So, but I think he will be there in some capacity, and it's going to play into that Bloodline Civil War. This is like the culmination of that before we head into, you know, who's really the tribal chief. Is it Roman? Is it Rock? Is it Solo? Like, what is actually going on?
Yeah, for sure.
Think about this too. With that scenario, if you have Cody kind of tagging along, being part of the Bloodline, then right now you basically have Roman as a face. I mean, that's kind of what it seems like they're going to have to make him because of his reaction. So you go through this whole big thing where him and Cody are together, and Roman and them defeat this new Bloodline, and then right at the end of it, boom, spear to Cody.
Yep.
Back to the heel turn, and you back again going with that match. So that would be great.
And I've long said this too, like, Roman Reigns can just be Roman Reigns. He doesn't necessarily have to be aligned as a heel or a babyface. It's just going to be a matter of how the fans react to him. Because when he walked in tonight, yes, he hit the guy that everybody wanted him to hit. Yeah. But he didn't do anything different than he would any other time. Listen, for those of you who are just now catching up, because we had some guys that were at our house tonight who haven't kept up with the product since WrestleMania or on a regular basis. And it's always great to get their perspective of what's going on and to clue them in on the storytelling and all that. But what I try to explain to them is Roman Reigns was a babyface the day he left. Yeah. The day WrestleMania ended, Roman Reigns is a babyface. Yeah. They chanted, "Thank you, Roman," the night after WrestleMania. We want Roman chants happen the next SmackDown, and we're off to the races. Yep. Nothing Roman Reigns did changed. No, he didn't come out and cut a promo that said, "Oh, I love you. Thank you so much for your blah, blah, blah." No, it's still the same guy. It's just okay that we cheer him now.
Yeah. I mean, that's true with a lot of like people who get hurt and then come back. You know, I think that was one of the things that, like, when Seth came back after blowing out his knee in 2016 or whatever it was, people were ready to cheer him and wanted to cheer him. And so I think that plays into it. He is just purely Roman Reigns. Yep. And that whatever he does, people are going to love until he does it to somebody that we really, really love, like a Cody Rhodes or, you know, a CM Punk or an LA Knight or whatever, John Cena, whatever the case is. Then it's like, oh no, now we boo him. Like, now we boo him, but we really like him at the same time too. Right. We're booing him because we appreciate him.
Well, that's what happened with Rock in the Final Boss run. Yeah. Same thing. Exact same thing. Yeah. Jared, did you ever think, in especially us sitting in the Superdome for WrestleMania 34 and what debacle that was, and the debacle was WrestleMania 31 and all of that, the Royal Rumble leading up to that, did you ever think we would be sitting here and talking about Roman Reigns the way that we are, and as special and as big of a talent as he is? Did you ever think we'd get there?
No, man. I mean, I watched this with my wife, which was very fun because I got to hear her views on everything, and I thought I could kind of incorporate them some into this show because her views are so different, where she doesn't know all the history and she's not up to date on the current stories. But I was trying to tell her about, you know, Roman and everything, and I said, there was a figure, if you remember, whenever that we went to WrestleMania 34, it was a Roman Reigns figure. And I'm not sure if I told her this story tonight. I think I've told her before. But anyways, that's beside the point. I think it was $45 for a signed Roman Reigns figure of him from NXT.
I remember
nobody was buying it.
Right.
And it still haunts me to this day that I did not buy that
Oh
figure.
my
The
gosh.
same way it haunts me that we had the chance to meet Cody, which I did tell her this tonight. I was like, during the
Andy
time,
did.
I did it.
yeah, the only smart one out of all three of us. But I was telling her, I was like, what was it, like $45, maybe 75, something
It
like
was
that.
that. I don't think it was that much.
It was less than 100. I know that
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, imagine now. I bet it would be 500 a pop just to
Yep.
get like a picture, an autograph, meet him, go on. I
Yep.
was like, man, but I was explaining all this stuff to her and trying to like you said, kind of give her a sense of how far we've come with Roman and some of these stories.
Yeah, man. It's so crazy.
Well, I can't
So
believe
crazy.
I can't believe that this is the first time that we've had a true babyface Roman Reigns.
Yep.
Like not a forced babyface Roman Reigns. This is like what the envision for Roman Reigns was from the beginning that
Yep.
they tried to force on everybody. They got to it, and it's so weird to see the difference 4 or 5 years makes.
Yep.
Because 4 or 5 years ago, I remember sitting at your house, SummerSlam, when he pinned Brock Lesnar,
2018.
and I was livid because I'm like, here we go again. It's the same Roman Reigns
Yep.
stuff we're doing over and over and over again. Now it's like I'm excited that he's back. Like
Yep.
Roman's back,
Yes.
and he's a babyface, and it's cool again. Like
Yep.
it's really cool.
Well, it's so interesting because right after he beat Brock is
Mhm.
when he had to relinquish the title. He had the leukemia scare. He was out for a long time. And then when he came back from the leukemia scare, we were going somewhere.
Yeah.
People were
And
behind
then
him,
the
but
Baron Corbin thing happened, and
then-
then we were like, nope.
then the dog stuff, the
Yeah.
dog food and all that really just, drug
We're
us
back
down.
to where we were.
And then the pandemic happened,
Yep.
and then now we get
Yep.
this version of Roman Reigns. So lots to talk about still with that. We're going to have a show coming up on Tuesday. Make sure you tune in wherever you find your podcast. Make sure you tune in on the YouTube channel. Subscribe if you haven't already. We're going to talk about the fallout.